Before the Industrial Revolution, everything was produced by hand. But the Industrial Revolution changed all that.
It took off in the late 18th century in England, when businessmen harnessed the power of rivers and streams to mechanize the textile industry. Suddenly, mills and factories were mass-producing textiles. The Industrial Revolution soon traveled beyond England.
A young man named Samuel Slater decided to steal the technology by memorizing the plans for the mills. He then hopped on board a ship and brought the Industrial Revolution to America. Soon, factories were not just making textiles and clothing, but furniture and everyday items. By the end of the 19th century, Americans in greater and greater numbers began leaving their farms and moving into the cities where they worked in factories. America moved from being an agrarian society to being an industrial, urbanized society. The biggest innovation of the Industrial Revolution was the assembly line.
A product would move down a mechanical conveyor belt where workers were lined up along the way. Each worker was responsible for adding a specific component to the process. This mass production created products much faster than ever before.
This enabled prices to go down, but also made work incredibly monotonous, and in some cases, dangerous. The assembly line enabled factory owners to employ unskilled labor, so that women and children and unskilled men would be brought in and easily fired or treated miserably. This led to a general decline in the conditions of the American working class. But workers did not take these conditions lying down. In the 19th and early 20th centuries, there were 10,000 strikes and riots against the capitalist class. This was also the same time when the rich got richer and built massive mansions to live like kings, while the poor lived in run-down tenements. It wasn't until the early 20th century, with what's called the Progressive Era, that government began to intervene to pass laws that rectified some of these harsh consequences of the Industrial Revolution.